Welcome back to Living in Austin, Texas. It's been almost a year since we spoke about Georgetown, Texas on this channel, a town within the greater Austin area that is growing rapidly and increasing in its popularity. And so, in this video, we thought we would revisit the subject of Georgetown, Texas, talking about what you'll need to know before potentially relocating there, and hopefully by the end of this video, helping you arrive at your own conclusion as to whether or not it's right for you. Stay tuned. Hey again everybody, this is Frank with the Living in Austin group at eXp Realty. On this channel we put out new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and yes, the bad. So consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already and ringing that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. We also love the reach outs we get now all the time from people just like you in need of our help when relocating to the greater Austin area. So keep them coming, do not hesitate. Whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call, any day of the week, any time of day. It is what we love to do. So yes, as mentioned in this video, we will be talking about Georgetown, Texas. Very sought after, very popular, and rapidly growing. Going over some of the basics, updating some facts that have changed over time, and of course, ultimately helping you arrive at your own conclusion as to whether or not it might be right for you. So let's waste no more time and get right to it. For starters, perhaps one of the most important subjects regarding Georgetown, Texas is its location. On average, Georgetown, Texas is roughly going to be between 40 and 50 minutes from the heart of downtown Austin, which is interesting because not too long ago, I remember when that commute would have been closer to 30 to maybe 45 minutes max. However, these days, so many more people are flocking to the greater Austin area, Georgetown included, and especially downtown. And so with more people here, traffic gets worse, especially during those rush hour times. Now, for what it's worth, people are attracted to the location of Georgetown because it is close enough to the city of Austin, yet far enough removed to where you're not necessarily stuck in the thick of that city living. So in that case, Georgetown does make a lot of sense for people who either work from home or perhaps maybe work in Round Rock, which is just south of Georgetown, Texas, or even work in the tech hub of North Austin because of course it is going to be a shorter commute than downtown. That way, if you're wanting to enjoy Austin for the fruits that it has to offer and what makes Austin, Texas, it is easy enough to get to on the rare occasion perhaps, but if you're going to be commuting, I would give it some thought. Up next, regarding Georgetown, Texas, we have the very important subject of affordability. And that is another reason why people are so attracted to Georgetown, Texas. Within the city limits of Austin, Texas, for example, if you're wanting something that's either not too small or not too old, you can expect to pay north of $600,000 for it because, as often mentioned on this channel, Austin, Texas is the most expensive city to live in the state of Texas easily. In the case of Georgetown, Texas, its median home price is actually down between 10 and 15% from this time last year, with a median home price that ranges between around $430,000 all the way up to around $500,000. Now, granted, that is just a median, which means you will of course be able to find cheaper options than $430,000. And of course, if you're wanting to stretch the budget and perhaps get a larger home or even acres because it is Georgetown, Texas, you can easily find that as well. Another component that makes the affordability of Georgetown even more enticing is how it compares to its neighboring very popular suburbs. So, for example, Round Rock, Texas is going to have a comparable median home price, but perhaps a different feel, a different lifestyle, different things to do. And then you have, for example, Leander, Texas, which is also very, very popular. And while it has future plans for development and things to do in that town, as of right now, it's going to feel more suburban. Again, similar to Round Rock in terms of its overall lifestyle, its vibe, things to do. Cedar Park included, basically towns in that general area. Because once you leave that general area of very popular towns and suburbs that have very good schools, then you're going to have other towns like, say, Hutto or Manor or Buda or Gerald or Dripping Springs or Liberty Hill, places that are either going to be a bit newer with less things to do, or places that are going to be more luxurious with much higher price tags. And lastly, on the subject of Georgetown's affordability, it is also appealing because it is getting cheaper. Now, of course, to a certain extent, that is due to the housing market on a national scale, but also because Georgetown has hung around that price tag of the 400s to 500s for a number of years now. Yes, real estate in the country is going up and up and up, which is going to happen anywhere over time, but Georgetown tends to plateau and, as mentioned, even dips year to date. Moving right along, regarding Georgetown, Texas, we now have perhaps its strongest attribute, the best thing that it has going for it, and that would be the subject of things to do. As mentioned earlier, in my opinion, the only legitimate rival that Georgetown has regarding things to do would probably be Round Rock, Texas. However, as also mentioned, its things to do are going to feel very different. In Round Rock, Texas, for example, as mentioned, the neighboring town south of Georgetown, Texas, you're going to have things like the Round Rock Premium Outlet Malls. You're going to have things like Kalahari, the largest indoor water park in the country. You're going to have Dell Diamond for baseball. You're going to have IKEA. You're going to have a lot of big brands, so on and so forth, meaning that the vibe in Round Rock, Texas is going to feel more suburban than Georgetown, Texas. What attracts me and a lot of other people to the city of Georgetown, Texas would be its small town feel. It kind of has the sense that it's in its own bubble, like it's in its own universe. It has a strong identity. It has a certain authenticity. In Georgetown, Texas, for example, you can walk around its own downtown or its town square and never be bored or run out of things to do. I was just there recently with my brother enjoying the town, and in just the span of 30 minutes, we walked into a karaoke bar that was so charming, had its own pizza, had my favorite beer on tap. We walked into a hot sauce store, which really was not necessarily a hot sauce store exclusively. It sold all kinds of cool things. And then in the back, it had a taco shop that was very authentic, kind of a hole-in-the-wall type location, but in the most charming and delicious way. I was also reminded that you are allowed to walk around downtown Georgetown with an alcoholic beverage in your hand, because honestly, they just do things the way they want to do them there. But at the same time, as mentioned, so many people are flocking to Georgetown, and it's getting younger and younger and younger. For the longest time, Georgetown, Texas felt a bit older. It felt a bit perhaps like empty nesters or people who are retiring. But now people flocking to Austin who see how expensive Austin is getting look at Georgetown as this cool kind of hip place, and naturally by moving there make it an even cooler, more hip place. For example, when I was in Georgetown recently, I found the coolest borderline bougie bar/restaurant. It was very stylish, it was very in, it was very on brand, a little bit overpriced, but very hip, and everyone there was either in their 20s, 30s, or maybe mid 40s. All kinds of original cocktails, delicious food, and that's in the heart of Georgetown. Again, walking distance from Town Square. And that's just the downtown area of Georgetown, because they also have an area called Wolf Ranch, which is basically a shopping center on steroids. Pretty much any store that you can think of, they are going to have, and it's going to be large and it's going to be new because it is a newer development. In addition to that, in that same Wolf Ranch area, they just opened a brand new H-E-B. And in case you didn't know, H-E-B is a grocery store here in Texas that is absolutely worshipped and adored. Lines of people waiting to get in around the block. It has its own bar, it has its own barbecue restaurant, it has elevators. So if you live anywhere even remotely close to the Wolf Ranch area, rest assured you will be shopping at a premium grocery store. And then outside of all of those things I mentioned, Georgetown also has an abundance of natural outdoorsy things to do as well, which makes it attractive for a lot of people who are attracted to Austin for that same reason, Austin's overall outdoorsy healthy lifestyle, but they see it more affordable in Georgetown. You have Lake Georgetown, you have different bodies of water, you have creeks, you have hiking, you have caverns, you have several parks, just an overall abundance of nature and things to do in that regard. So that's what I'm getting at. Yes, a place like Round Rock, for example, will have a lot of things to do, but the vibes will be very different. And for people who were initially attracted to Austin, as mentioned, are probably going to find Georgetown more appealing in that regard than a place like Round Rock. Now, real quickly before moving on, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If we've been providing any value for you, consider clicking the like button as it helps our channel grow. Remember to subscribe, and lastly, share our content with anybody you know who's wanting to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. Alright, up next regarding Georgetown, Texas, another very important subject, which would be schools. And I'll be honest, a majority of the clients we've helped relocate to the greater Austin area have done so with their families, and so naturally, schools are one of the top priorities. And if you are seriously considering relocating to the greater Austin area, I would assume you have already been doing your homework. And naturally, that homework has told you that the greater Austin area has some insanely amazing school districts. And the Georgetown Independent School District is one of them. According to niche.com, it does get an overall grade of a B+, which is going to be a smidge lower than the more prestigious larger districts such as the Leander Independent School District and the Round Rock Independent School District. Other ones highly ranked would perhaps be the Eanes Independent School District. However, that one is absolutely tiny, and it is located in the Westlake Hills with median home prices of $2+ million. So honestly, regarding the cream of the crop school districts, according to public information, Georgetown really is in that top 3 or in that top 5. According to niche.com, the Georgetown Independent School District has 10 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, 3 high schools, and a 97% graduation rate. So while it isn't perhaps on the elite golden tier of school districts such as, say, Leander Independent School District, when you combine it with the overall lifestyle I mentioned, when you combine it with homes that you can find with acres, when you combine it with the abundance of things to do, all of a sudden Georgetown, Texas makes so much sense, and again is why so many people are choosing to live there and why it's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States of America. Now lastly, regarding Georgetown, Texas, we do have the subject of safety, which I find interesting. According to Neighborhood Scout, which is one of my favorite websites regarding statistics and analytics on the subject of crime and safety, at first on that website it does seem that Georgetown, Texas has a surprisingly higher crime rate than a lot of other places in the state of Texas. However, Neighborhood Scout would explain that when you adjust the context and compare it to more similar sized cities in not just Texas but the United States, it is going to have a much lower crime average when compared to the state of Texas and the rest of the country, which makes much more sense. Because honestly, when you spend enough time in Georgetown and you see how quaint it is, how friendly it is, how charming it is, how low-key it is, how fun it is, you really do get this perhaps irrational sense that it's just devoid of crime. But of course, like any other place, it does have crime, and the stats at first are a bit scary at thinking, wow, this is worse than I thought, but when you read further and see proper context compared to similar towns of its size, as mentioned, you'll find that it is either on par with the rest of the country or perhaps even safer. And so, there you have it, some of the basics regarding Georgetown, Texas and what you can expect if you're wanting to relocate there. In our experience helping clients relocate to the greater Austin area, those things tend to be the biggest questions that pop up. Location, affordability, things to do, the schools, and the safety. Now, for various reasons, Georgetown, Texas just might not be right for you, and that's okay. Georgetown, Texas isn't necessarily for everybody. You might prefer Round Rock, you might prefer Kyle, Buda, Hutto, Liberty Hill, Dripping Springs, so on and so forth. But in the event that you feel Georgetown, Texas is the right destination for you, again, that is what we are here for, helping people just like you relocate to the greater Austin area, making that move as smooth as possible and finding that perfect spot. But again, the only way we can do that is by you reaching out to us. So do not hesitate. Whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. As mentioned on this channel, we talk about living in Austin, Texas, the good and the bad, so remember to subscribe if you haven't already and ring that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share it with anybody you know, and until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This is Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.